Year 865. You are an Anglo-Saxon farmer. In exactly 10 seconds, a Viking axe will attempt to split your skull in half. Forget the Hollywood myths. No horn helmets. No mindless savages. What just hit your beach is a hyper-disciplined execution squad. Longships don't need harbors. Their shallow bottoms let them glide straight onto the sand, releasing 30 armored killers in seconds. The raider doesn't swing at your head. He hooks your shield with his axe, ripping it down to expose your throat. Pure butcher's geometry. You are in the FYRD. A peasant militia forced into battle. You have no professional combat training and cheap wooden gear. Form the wall. Your commander roars. You overlap your round oak shield with the man next to you. Wood slams against wood. The Norsemen slam into your wall like a freight train. The sound is deafening. Splintering timber. Crushed ribs. Iron against bone. This isn't a duel. It's a human trash compactor. You are packed so tight you can't even raise your arm to swing a weapon. You draw your seeks, a heavy, single-edged knife. You thrust blindly upward under their shields into groin, belly, and thighs. If you slip on the bloody mud and fall, you are dead. Your own allies will crush your chest into the dirt under their boots. Your wall collapses. Men throw down their heavy weapons and run. But running from a Viking is a death sentence. They don't just kill. They execute the old and weak, but bind the young and strong in heavy iron neck collars. Human cargo is the most valuable loot on Earth. Slaves build longships, farm the fjords, and buy political power. You are not fighting a religious crusade. You are caught inside a corporate slave harvest. You escape into the treeline. You survive the initial raid. But the real invasion hasn't even started yet. The hit-and-run raids are over. The Great Heathen Army lands. Thousands of hardened Norse veterans arrive to conquer the entire island. They are led by the ruthless sons of Ragnar Lothbrok. They don't leave when winter comes. They are here to stay. They seize every horse in East Anglia. They don't fight as cavalry. They use horses as high-speed transport to outrun your infantry. They capture York. They repair the ancient stone Roman walls, turning your own historic fortress into an unbreachable stronghold. They practice total economic warfare. They burn crops and poison water supplies, starving entire kingdoms into unconditional surrender. You are sent on a scout mission. You watch the enemy prepare for open battle. The psychological warfare begins before swords are drawn. The berserkers step to the front. Dressed in wolf skins, they bite the iron edges of their shields, howling like rabid animals. This is self-induced chemical trance and weaponized adrenaline. They feel zero pain and charge directly into spear points to smash formations. The sheer terror shatters green troops. Entire Saxon shield walls break and scatter before the two lines even make physical contact. Northumbria falls. Both of its rival kings are brutally executed. Mercia is crushed next. The dominoes are falling fast. Desperate kings pay the Danegeld, millions in silver coins just to buy a temporary truce. It's state-sanctioned extortion. Paying them only funds their next invasion. The moment the silver runs out, the Viking fleets return to burn whatever is left. A Norse settler claims your family farm. Under their law, you must fight a home gang. A lethal duel inside a small square mat. If you step off the mat, you lose your honor and land. If you fight, their veteran duelists kill you legally and take your farm anyway. By 877, every Saxon kingdom is erased from history. Only one remains standing, Wessex, and it's about to be ambushed. Midwinter, 878. The Vikings launch a surprise attack on Chippenham during Christmas feast. The Saxon high command is almost completely wiped out. King Alfred escapes into the impenetrable bogs of Athelney. You retreat with him. No crown. No armor. Just survival. You throw away heavy metal armor. You adapt. You smear black mud over your face for camouflage in the dark, wet reeds. You become swamp ghosts. You strike from the dark water, taking out isolated Viking foraging parties before disappearing into the mist. No honorable open battles. You slit throats in their sleep. You poison their food supplies. You burn their docked longships at midnight. You adopt their own brutal guerrilla tactics against them. You bleed their supply chain dry while slowly rebuilding your forces. May 878. The signal fires are lit across Egbert's Stone. Secret messengers summon the hidden FYRD from 3 shires. Thousands of men emerge from hiding. They have lived through years of terror, and they want blood. The Battle of Ethandun. The Great Heathen Army forms its massive shield wall at the base of the hill. This is the final showdown. For 5 hours, the two walls grind against each other. You push with every ounce of strength left in your battered body. Alfred's wall holds firm. The Norse line cracks under the relentless pressure. The invaders turn and run toward their fortress. You don't assault the walls. You surround them for 14 days until they are forced to eat their own horses to survive. Warlord Guthrum surrenders. He is forced to accept baptism and sign the Treaty of Wedmore. England is divided in half. The Eastern Territory becomes the Danelaw, a permanent Viking kingdom on English soil. You survive the Great War. But looking across the border fence, you know this peace is just a temporary intermission. King Alfred realizes defensive infantry isn't enough. He initiates a complete military engineering overhaul of the kingdom. You are conscripted to build 30 fortified towns arranged so no farm is more than 20 miles from safety. When Viking spotters see dragon sails, the alarm sounds. You don't hide in the woods. You pull all livestock, grain, and tools inside the The raiders land to find empty fields. No food to steal, no peasants to capture. Your fortress network starves them out automatically. But the Norsemen adapt. They stop running and learn siege tactics. They build timber rams and ladders to storm your walls. A Viking army surrounds your boo. They hurl ladders against the wooden palisade. You stand on the rampart holding a heavy rock. Boiling oil is a myth. It's too expensive. You pour cauldrons of boiling water and red-hot sand that slips inside their armor and roasts them alive. The main gate cracks under the battering ram. The heavy iron bolts snap. The Vikings push into the narrow entrance. This is a choke point. You lock shields inside the narrow stone gateway. 10 men can hold off 1,000 in a corridor this tight. Long axes and spears are useless in the choke point. You use short daggers, driving them repeatedly into any exposed flesh. While you hold the gate, the neighboring sends its standing garrison. They hit the siege force from behind. Trapped between the wall and the relief army, the Viking siege collapses. The system proved that defense wins wars. Alfred splits the army into 2 halves. One half farms the crops, while the other stays fully armed on active duty. No more unprepared peasants. You are now part of a standing professional military machine with constant rotation and supply chains. But stopping them on land isn't enough. Alfred turns his gaze to the water. The war shifts to the high seas. 896 AD. Alfred designs his own ships. They are twice as long as Viking longships, taller, steadier, and carry 60 oarsmen. You are drafted as a Saxon marine. Ancient naval combat has no cannons. It's infantry battle on a floating wooden platform. You intercept a Viking raiding fleet trapped in a narrow estuary. Your massive hulls block their only escape route to open ocean. You don't just board them. Your heavier, faster ships ram directly into their light longships, splintering their hulls into floating debris. Iron grappling hooks fly across the gap. You pull the ships together. The ocean churns below as you lock the vessels side by side. Your taller decks give you absolute high ground advantage. You hurl heavy spears straight down into their open hulls. You leap down onto their rocking deck. The wood is slippery with blood and sea spray. One missed step means drowning in 60 pounds of mail. Panicking raiders jump into the ocean. But heavy iron armor acts like an anchor, dragging them straight down into the pitch-black depths. Out of 20 Viking ships, only 3 escape. You prove that the sea no longer belongs exclusively to the Northmen. King Alfred dies, but his vision survives. His son Edward and grandson Athelstan take the throne with a new goal, total reconquest. Decade by decade, the Saxons march north. They systematically reclaim the Danelaw town by town, using buzz to seal every victory. Realizing their total destruction is near, the Vikings of Dublin form a desperate mega-alliance with the kings of Scotland and Strathclyde. Year 937. The Battle of Brunanburh. The single greatest and most violent military conflict ever fought on British soil. King Athelstan leads the unified English army against the massive combined alliance. Hundreds of thousands of men meet on a muddy field. From sunrise to sunset, 2 colossal shield walls grind against each other in an unrelenting, suffocating crush of iron and flesh. You are an old veteran now. Your muscles burn, your breath tastes like copper, but you keep thrusting your spear into the wall of faces. Athelstan's elite West Saxon cavalry swings around the flank. They shatter the Scottish lines from behind, triggering a panic retreat. The alliance crumbles into a rout. The Saxon infantry pursues them for miles, cutting down the fleeing invaders without mercy. 5 enemy kings lie dead in the mud. 7 Viking jarls wiped out. The ground is soaked red for miles in every direction. Brunanburh seals the fate of the island. Out of the blood and ash of the Viking invasions, a single, unified nation is born. England. You drop your battered shield. Your hands are permanently scarred from wooden splinters and cold iron. You survived 70 years of terror. You didn't survive through magic, luck, or divine glory. You survived through cold logistics, brutal adaptation, and siege engineering. The Vikings didn't destroy your world. They integrated into it. Their culture, language, and blood became permanently woven into yours. You stood in the mud when the dragon ships first hit the sand. You adapted to total war and helped forge a kingdom. You survived the Viking invasion. Subscribe to Cube Lore to survive the next chapter of human history.